SRG, gone. MSC champion TLPH, defeated. Team Spirit, humiliated. People say it's luck, but Alter Ego didn't just win, they conquered every giant in their path. So the question is, how? How does a team that once considered a nobody suddenly becomes this strong? The answer begins with how jungler-centric their macro and decision makings really are. What do I mean by that exactly? Let's start from the draft first so you don't get confused about their strategy. If you're familiar with pro teams draft, you'll notice there's always a pattern, and certain composition will naturally have an advantage against the other, right? And usually when teams commit to a comp, like the engage comp for example, then every hero in that team from the start of the draft until the end will be those who need the team to attack first. Or if they're playing a catch comp, then yeah, all the heroes will be kidnapping heroes. But Alter Ego is different. They like to combine two compositions depending on what the enemy picks. The compositions they use the most are split composition and a composition that weakens the enemy's ability to fight back. And when I say split, I don't mean split push. I mean a draft that forces the enemy team to get separated and lose formation. For example, here, Onyx is using an engage composition, right? All their heroes need their team to attack first to be effective. Alter Ego responds with a catch composition. You can see Kalia and Fanny, which are insanely good at kidnapping people. And also, half of Alter Ego's draft is also a split composition. Look at Fanny, Cloud and Lilia. These heroes are really good at breaking the enemy formation and forcing them apart so they can't group up. I mean yeah, engage composition have an advantage against split comps because they can attack first before the enemy could split them apart. That's true, but Alter Ego also has a catch composition in their draft, and catch compositions have an advantage against engage comp because they can kidnap the key hero so the enemy can't engage properly. So basically, what Alter Ego does is this. They run the catch composition first before any real teamfight happens, and once they successfully catch someone, that's when the split composition starts doing its job. That's why Alter Ego's teamfights usually have two phases depending on which part of the composition they're executing. Now why do they specifically use a split composition like this? It's so they can always threaten multiple things at the same time, forcing the enemy into constant confusion. This isn't something they do once or twice, they do this all the time since the start of M7. And since they run in a hybrid composition that has a natural advantage over the enemy's draft, so even when they look like they're getting outnumbered, they're still winning in terms of raw composition power. They also heavily focus on empowering their mid trio. You can see it yourself. Their mid trio always uses heroes that make it insanely hard for the enemies to get in or out of teamfights. Like this one for example, Yves, Grok, and Yisan Shin. If these three start the teamfight first, you're not getting out, especially around the Lord area. And usually, their jungler, Yasuke, play heroes that can directly destroy enemy formations too. Heroes like Leomord, Fanny, and Guinevere. That's what makes them different from most teams. Normally, teams only have 2 or 3 formation breaker roles, right? Usually the roamer, XP, or maybe the mid too. But Alter Ego, they can have 4. Sometimes even 5 heroes that can mess up your setup. So when you're trying to set up against Alter Ego, it's just straight up painful. The second thing is that every Alter Ego player has their own signature heroes, and those heroes directly counter the current meta heroes. If you watch M7, you've definitely noticed it, like Leomord Freya, and Leomord Freya, and Leomord Freya, right? This team really just plays the same heroes over and over. And those signature heroes fit perfectly with their playstyle, the kind that likes to suddenly crash into the enemy out of nowhere. I mean yeah, I know everyone has a signature hero, like Kairi with Lancelot or Kaltizi with Fredrin, but just because a hero is someone's signature doesn't mean it can actually be applied to every strategy. That's why there are heroes that are super popular in ranked but never show up in tournaments. Now back to Alter Ego. Take Yasuke for example. He likes to use disruptors like Leomord, Penny, and Jennifer, right? All of these guys can counter the meta heroes really hard. Gwen counters drafts that rely on positioning, Leomord counters backline heavy drafts, Fanny counters scaling heroes. Then there's Hijime, Kimi, Farsa, and Yves are all insanely strong mid laners. Kimi counters walking heroes, Farsa counters positioning based heroes, Yves counters teamfight heavy comps, then Alec, Grok, Kalia, Hylos, and Gatot. Kalia is for hyperactive heroes, Grok and Hylos shut down backliners, Gatot punishes positioning heroes. RV, CC, Cloud, and Freya. Freya counters backliners, CC counters hyperactive heroes, Cloud handles tanky and walking heroes. And he can basically play every meta hero in the XP lane. So in the end, their signature heroes are just straight up annoying to deal with. Like, the enemy wants to counter Yasuke, they can't because Hijime and Arvi's heroes are still uncountered. They want to counter Hijime with a teleport and heroes that jump to the backline so he gets kidnapped instantly. Then Arvi and Yasuke's heroes, the ones that induce chaos, gets through instead. So no matter what you try to counter, it always feels wrong. Like, you counter one thing, you lose to another. So why do their heroes actually fit in the current meta so well? I think because right now, the game is super focused on fighting around the Lord and Turtle areas. And the heroes that are strong right now are all insanely good in these tight objective zones like these guys. I swear I'm so tired of seeing these guys everywhere. Now, formation breaking heroes love it when enemies group up, especially in tight spaces like Lord and Turtle pits. Because once the enemy groups, these heroes can instantly mess up the formation, expose the enemy's most impactful hero, and make them super easy to target. The second reason is we're also in a full strike meta right now. Teams want to end fights as fast as possible once a teamfight starts. That's why most teams are running heroes with burst-ish skill combo damage. I mean not burst like Aurora where someone disappears instantly, but burst enough that within 2 to 3 seconds, someone is dead. You already know teamfights nowadays are super short, unlike back then when healer and tank jungler meta still exists. Back then, teamfights can literally last longer than you. You see, Alter Ego's heroes are perfect for this push and pull playstyle, which can counter those skill combo heroes. I mean, you know it yourself, heroes like Penny, Farsight, and Cloud are insanely good at going back and forth to bait enemies, so teams that fight Alter Ego are always end up confused. Like, if they group up, their formations get destroyed. But if they don't group up, how are they supposed to win the fight? And usually, Alter Ego rarely uses positioning-based heroes, except for the mid laner of course. I mean every single mid laners are positioning heroes by nature anyway. But the rest, it's mostly crash in heroes. Like these two. You see? Because you can't destroy formations if your heroes don't dive in. And you also don't really need to worry about your own positioning when everyone is moving forward together. That's why Alter Ego's roamer job is actually pretty simple. Alec just needs to support the damage dealers, not constantly cover mid and gold lane at the same time while also initiating like roamers on other teams. So in teamfights, he basically just has to choose one thing. If the enemy isn't targeting the mid laner, he can join the front line. But if the enemy does target the mid laner, which rarely happens because their formations usually gets destroyed first by these three guys anyway, then Alec and the mid laner can just buy time together. You can see just how effective this strategy is. Alter Ego doesn't half commit to fights because their heroes doesn't really need constant protection. So every teamfights they do is an all-in. And they've been playing like this since the start of M7 if you haven't noticed. So yeah, that's basically how their drafts works. The second thing is that Alter Ego always forces teamfights first, and they do it at the most unexpected moments. Normally, when a team is doing turtle, they'll protect their jungler, right? So everyone groups at this area to minimize the risk of their jungler suddenly getting kidnapped and die, right? But look at Alter Ego. Their jungler is doing turtle, and instead of guarding the area, half of them suddenly forces a fight somewhere else. That's because this split composition is meant to divide the enemy's focus. And if you don't like to suddenly starting fights or kidnapping people while the enemy is busy with something else, then how else are you supposed to split their attention? Like in this situation, Alter Ego wants to fight the top side, so TLPH are focused at that part of the map. You can see they're trying to sandwich here. Then suddenly Arvi shows up. Now TLPH is the one getting sandwiched instead. And it doesn't stop there. Now the fight split into 3 different mini fights at the same time. Up top, this trio is attacking Sanford and JP. In the middle, Arvi is fighting Sanji and Kaltzy. And then Hijime is locking down Oheb from a safe distance. So TLPH focus gets split into 3 different directions in a single team fight. And this is completely unexpected. Like, most teams would think, okay, we're getting sandwiched, this is risky, we should back off. But Alter Ego doesn't back off, they go forward instead. And it's even scarier when they're using Grok or Kalia. You already know these guys are perfect for kidnapping and splitting the enemy formations while forcing fights, right? Like in the game against BSE, you can see Doom just walking around, thinking he's safe because Akai is nearby and he has his ultimate. Then, suddenly, he gets knocked up and all-in, A teamfight is forced instantly even though Alter Ego's jungler is still taking turtle down there. Their initiations are always like that, super sudden and super unexpected. And honestly, most of the heroes Alter Ego uses are heroes that can start fights by themselves. You can see it clearly, like this one for example. Leomord has the horse to engage, Hylos has the carpet, Freya can jump straight to the backline, Pharsa can start fights with her ult or stun combo. Sora is basically the same kind of hero as Pharsa by using his combo. On top of that, their heroes are insanely fast at backing each other up. So let's say if one person gets kidnapped, then the backup will come almost instantly, because their movement speeds are fast, so the rotation are fast too. And if a fight gets forced like this when Alter Ego is already fully set up and you're not ready yet because you move slower, then suddenly you'll be fighting an uneven fight, and it will obviously favors Alter Ego because they have the numbers advantage. This is why using a hybrid composition like Alter Ego is so strong. Even SRG, the one who managed to overwhelm TLPH, got beat 3-1 by Alter Ego. This team is actually insane. If you only look at it on the surface, Alter Ego's movement look kinda random. Like, you look away for 1 second and suddenly you get hit by a horse. You blink and Freya is already jumping on you. And this is exactly what makes Alter Ego so unpredictable, because they're willing to take risk. I mean, most teams only make risky moves when they're desperate, right? Like a last-ditch effort to win. But Alter Ego does risky moves like it's their second nature. For example, like this one right here. It's still early game, Turtle is spawning on the top side, but Alec walks straight into TLPH jungle with no vision while Karl Tzik is farming there. He flanks Sanji in mid and actually gets the kill. That one worked, so the risk doesn't really show. But if it fails, it looks like this. Here, Alec jumps in trying to kidnap Hylos so they can push more comfortably, but instead, Hijime flickers forward to ult. And yeah, I mean the ult is good because it hits 4 people so they can't escape the area easily. But this is inside the base and the turret isn't destroyed yet and there's a Yuzong standing right there. So the initiation just straight up failed. This kind of risk is game changing if it doesn't work. They lucky they still won the game. And this is exactly why Alter Ego's movement are so hard to predict. I mean, at a world class tournament like this, most teams play clean, discipline, and try to minimize risk, right? But Alter Ego plays like it's ranked match. They fight here, they push there, somebody is pressuring the bottom side, and suddenly the enemy's focus is split everywhere. And then they repeat the same thing again when the enemy doesn't expect it. You can see it here, they suddenly attack, then Nino randomly comes in from the bottom lane, then Arfi suddenly jumps into the backline from the other side, and just like that, the fight becomes unfair. Here it's 3v2. Right there is 2v2, and Alter Ego is winning both because they're on a power spike advantage. That's one of the key reasons Alter Ego managed to dominate M7 because they constantly make illogical, risky moves and force fights first. And honestly, this is the biggest weakness of the current objective control meta. If your setup keeps getting disrupted like this, everything will fall apart because you can't control the objectives correctly if your team always gets split in half all the time. It just turns into pure chaos. The only team that could actually beat Alter Ego was Aurora Philippines in the upper bracket and once again in the grand final. So how did Aurora Philippines deal with Alter Ego's unpredictable macro? Simple, they became Alter Ego themselves. And that was the very first thing Aurora Philippines did to beat them. Let's just look at the mid trio first. This trio can run full on engage, pick off drafts, or objective control. They can do everything. But every time they face Alter Ego, Aurora Philippines always tries to take Alter Ego's mid trio. You can see it clearly in the grand final. Aurora literally used Alter Ego's mid trio. Same thing in the upper bracket too. They straight up use Alter Ego's heroes. You already know these are Alter Ego's heroes, right? So in the upper bracket and semi-final, it wasn't rare to see both teams fighting over the picks. Aurora always contested Hijume's heroes, Yasuke's heroes, Arfi's heroes. They contested every single heroes Alter Ego usually plays. Like here, Aurora bans Arfi's heroes, bans Cloud, bans Esmeralda. Then during the picks, Aurora immediately steals Freya first. And once that happens, Arfi's comfort heroes are basically gone. They can't even do a safe pick by picking Harith or Granger here because both get countered by Freya. Especially in the early game, they just becomes free food for Freya. So what happens in the end? They pick Minsitar, what the hell? I mean, yeah, I get it. Minsitar is supposed to counter Freya in teamfights, because when Minsitar ults, Freya can't use all of her skills. But the problem is, Minsitar doesn't fit Alter Ego's draft at all. Here, Alter Ego's whole draft is run forward, crash into people, force fights. Meanwhile, Minsitar is a response-based hero. He need to wait for the enemy to make move first most of the time. So... so it just doesn't work. And this actually indirectly forces Alter Ego to play against their own strategy. In this match, if you really look at it, it's basically Alter Ego versus Alter Ego. Even their movements look similar, both teams play the same way too. So what's the real reason Aurora can win against Alter Ego? It's because Aurora is willing to straight up ignore Alter Ego's bait. Like here, Alec jump forward, and nobody responds. Nino goes for a pick off, and still nobody commits. And this is exactly why Aurora always looks one step ahead whenever they face Alter Ego. I mean, Alter Ego's whole thing is splitting focus, attacking from random angles, sudden fights, and everyone getting hit at once, right? But the moment the enemy team just stays calm and doesn't split, that strategy gets way weaker. You can see it here. Aurora goes to gank RV, and Alec tries to stop it by kidnapping someone, but Light just happened to be there and kicks him away. Now Alter Ego suddenly has an attack opportunity from 2 angles, and they use every ultimate. Now normally, most teams would immediately go in, because Alter Ego's skills already missed or got used, and your team still has to fight decider ultimates left. But Aurora doesn't do that. Look at them, they back off, regroup, and refocus together. They wait until their focus is fully aligned again, and only after that, they go in, using Alter Ego's own strategy against them. Now Alter Ego gets attacked from 3 angles, from there, right, and left, which makes the fight way easier for Aurora to execute. And this pattern repeats from start to finish every time Aurora faces Alter Ego. If you're still confused, just look at this moment again. Alter Ego is trying to force a fight, trying to split Aurora's focus from front and back. But Aurora ignores it. Everyone backs off, no skills thrown, no panic. And once they see what Alter Ego is planning to do, they strike. Now it's Aurora who's splitting Alter Ego. So a fight happened there, and they pressure the tanks on the right so they can't help. So yeah, in the end, Aurora basically makes Alter Ego eat their own strategy. And honestly, it feels like Alter Ego just wasn't ready to face a team that could use their own playstyle against them. Which is probably why Alter Ego ends up getting completely destroyed by Aurora. But I don't know, what do you guys think?